All right. A couple of players that we thought didn't have the greatest summer. One of them is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie, I don't know what he wanted, but he didn't want a 1-year contract. He wasn't able to get an extension with the Nets that he was willing to accept. He sought some sort of sign and trade if he had opted out of his contract. He wasn't able to find that. He opted back into the Nets. The Nets with Durant, I think had some trade discussions with him. I think, the Lakers, there were some talks there that wasn't able to get done. And so now he's, in this position where he's like, oh yeah, everything's fine. Status quo works for me. He might end up coming he might have a great season. He might be highly incentivized to do so and have his best season in a while. And he may end up with wonderful options because there's a lot of teams with cap space next year, but I wouldn't say this summer went the way he was envisioning.
I think you're the master of understatement. It went so well that he's staying with Brooklyn, and his best buddy KD says, you know what? Get me the hell out of here. That's all you need to know. That's how well things went.
And he didn't have, and his Nike contract is ending and not being renewed, and he couldn't get any long-term contract. So he's financially.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the first time Kyrie could really look around and see that there wasn't dramatic interest in him, right? Like the Nets basically said, go find a trade, boss. And, the Lakers were the only team that was really desperate enough to be willing to pay him a long-term deal. That, I don't think it was a coincidence. It went from that to opting in the next day. It was like, all right, this is what I got to do.
Why were the Lakers so eager to in part to trade for Kyrie? Because I got a feeling the next guy who's on your list.
Well, right, I actually had a different guy than that guy. But to me, I think LeBron is a loser of the summer. And I think it's for what you were alluding to, in that obviously the Lakers made this catastrophically bad Westbrook trade a year ago. We talked about Russ last week. We don't need to get into that any further. But if you're LeBron going into your age 38 season, and the Lakers this summer, while I think we all agree they made better moves than last summer because they signed guys that were all 10 years younger than the guys they signed last summer, they still signed Lonnie Walker, who is a project young wing.
Yeah.
He was the one above minimum signing they made. Like Damian Jones has played better the last couple of years. Like he's an interesting minimum signing as a center, but they're all minimum signings.
You signed a bunch of guys last year. One of them worked out in Malik Monk, and you lost him.
That's right. And now you've signed a bunch of younger, better bets as minimum players, but this still is a roster that's filled out with minimum players that has one guy, again, for more than the minimum, and Lonnie Walker, who I have not really seen much to think he's going to be that great for them. And Talen Horton, obviously Kendrick Nunn didn't even play last year. Talen Horton-Tucker was a disappointment last year. Then you've got LeBron and AD. And if you're LeBron, you're looking around at this team and you're saying, we're a team that is not good enough. Like we're not good enough to be anywhere near the kind of place I want to be. And they don't really have a path to doing that, short of this Kyrie thing falling in their lap eventually, which I don't think it's going to happen. And frankly, even if he gets there, I don't know if they're still good enough because of the weaknesses they have around those three guys then. So to me, just looking at it, if you're LeBron, you're going into your age 38 season. And to me, it's looking like, while he's going to get the scoring title or the all-time scoring title if he's healthy, from a win standpoint, it feels like it's headed towards another lost season for him. And me looking at it, if I'm him, I have to look at that as a disappointment and as him as one of the losers of this offseason.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.